in the school aid fund next year.
Yeah, about almost 3/4 of the sales tax goes to the school aid fund for school purposes. So
Right.
sales tax revenues have a big impact on the school aid fund.
Right. So in my job too, I'm constantly looking at the other side of the coin, if you will, and that is how can we boost entrepreneurial investment in the state and job creation. And my role then really focuses in on tax policy. What are we doing, or what could we do better to attract more investment and therefore job creation? And I would like to just spend a few minutes, if we could, on an area that I think now really is going to need some careful review, and that is the whole area of tax expenditures. And you earlier today talked about that in our committee, and in particular, I have honed in on something called the refundable tax credits. And that is after a company's tax liability is eliminated through a mega credit against the Michigan business tax, for example, they still have enough credit to really get a potentially substantial grant of general fund dollars. So it's new spending that is going out, not just money that we would have to cut, but this is brand new spending that we have to put on the ledger of outgoing money. With that, we know then we're handicapped on being able to provide broad-based tax relief, especially to those small businesses that need it so badly in the state, the ones who create the jobs, about 80% of all jobs. So we've been looking at these refundable tax credits. We think there needs to be a continuance of a refundable tax credit program so we can compete with other states. But yet we probably need to restructure it to make it workable. In total, one of the biggest refundable tax credits has been the film credit. And the Senate Fiscal Agency and now the Mackinac Center, as you know, have come back and said these refundable tax credits are costing the state potentially up to $150 million next year. So in that, what are we getting back for those dollars? And the reports that are coming back, and one from the Anderson Economic Group has said we get very little, if you will, economic benefit from the film credits. I know there's a lot of people out there who are really energized by them, but it is costing our state a lot of money. I propose that we keep the credit. We keep a credit so we can, continue attracting that kind of investment here in the state, but right-size it. And that may mean we have to relook the refundability nature of it and or put a cap on it. Jay, do we have caps on other credits here in our tax code?
Yeah, if you take a look at almost all the credits have some kind of limit, whether it's for eligibility or the dollar amount. Yeah, there's all kinds of limits on tax credits and special deductions and exemptions.
And why does a state do that? Why does a state put a cap on a credit, for example?
Well, to try and keep the cost down and try and target the impact of the credit to the desired recipient and get the results that they want. The broader you make the credit, the more expensive it's going to be, and the state just doesn't have money to give away. They want it to go for a particular purpose, so you have to put safeguards on credits in order to make sure that they are going to the intended recipients.
Well, to be responsible and accountable to all our taxpayers, that is something we are looking at, either a cap approach or, if you will, take away the refundable portion, just a portion that becomes checks in the mail to companies that are getting the Michigan Economic Development grants and or the tax credits, refundable credits through the film credit approach. There are a number of credits that we could do this with, and it would save the state from spending new money. Somewhere it's been predicted upwards of 120, maybe up to $200 million. So that is a task that some of us in the Senate are involved in right now. And we've had a lot of help because we need the kind of information and data that the Senate Fiscal Agency can provide for us. How do you work with Treasury? Because they are really if you will, they know the revenue that's coming in and all the sources. They can't tell us precisely individual returns, and we understand that, but they can give us sector information if they so choose. What is Treasury now saying, and how do they work with the Senate Fiscal Agency to be sure we're apprised of our economic situation so we can make good decisions?
Sure. We work very closely with the Treasury Department and the economists they have there. And my own personal experience is they're very helpful to us. We use some of the models that they have that include aggregate tax revenue data, and so we can go in and change things in the tax structure and then calculate how much of an impact it would have on the overall collections. We're in contact with them almost daily, comparing notes. I mean, I think they help us a lot, and I think we help them too. More heads are better than one, and we analyze situations and bills, and we give them our opinions, and I think they appreciate that at times too. So we have a very, very good working relationship with the Treasury Department. And if we didn't, we'd be in trouble,
right? Because
they have all the data. We need their data in order to analyze
That's a source of the data.
Yeah.
And I do remember more than a year ago when the Senate Fiscal Agency analyzed the film credit legislation, that it was stated pretty clearly it was an indefinite amount. We couldn't really calculate it, but it could be potentially significant on our general fund. And why I'm raising this one more time is the general fund, which we've seen diminished in terms of the taxes coming in, is stretched now to the absolute hilt. And as we cut and cut and cut, and we've cut, for example, the Department of Community Health 24% over last year. And that's I believe that's the largest general fund commitment to any budget, or the second largest? I think it is. So when you realize we're having to cut now into some essential services, and yet we're spending money for Hollywood to produce pictures here, and giving money to offset even some of the production costs and give Hollywood actors checks in the mail as well, it becomes, I think, a very reasonable, important debate. I also want to end on a very positive note. As the federal government, we here in Michigan, and in particular in the Senate and myself, are looking at transparency and disclosure legislation so that our citizens will know just how much we're spending on these refundable credits, for example, and also to try and get good information when we have to make decisions about tax policy from Treasury. So that's ongoing. I just want to thank you so very much for being with us today. The time has gone so fast, Jay, and I know we will be working with you all summer. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all you do. You're a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks
It was a
for
pleasure
being
to be
here. And thank you to all of you who listen into our program on a monthly basis. I want to wish everyone a safe and pleasant summer.